We're viewed as a country that is both an energy superpower and believes in addressing climate change.
This new Statistics Canada report has revealed that in March, there were more than 21,000 new zero-emission vehicle sales in Canada, a spike of more than 74% year over year.
Canada just reported a 74% explosion in EV sales, and I'm sitting here as an American asking myself, what are BE doing? If that number didn't just hit you in the chest, stick around, because what's coming next should make every single one of us deeply uncomfortable. And before we get into it, hit subscribe, because this is one of those videos you're going to want to come back to. 74%. That's not a typo, that's not a projection. That's a real number from a real government report, and it just dropped like a bomb that most American news channels are completely ignoring right now.
Sandy, while access to electric vehicle charging stations such as this one remains a concern for some drivers, zero-emission vehicle sales have received a major jolt thanks in part to Ottawa's EV incentive program, sky-high prices at the pump.
An acceleration in electric vehicle sales is driving a surging trend across the country. This new Statistics Canada report has revealed that in March, there were more than 21,000 new zero-emission vehicle sales in Canada.
So let that land for a second. A Statistics Canada report, hard data, not a political speech, not a campaign promise, is showing the world that Canada's clean energy shift is not a theory anymore. It's happening, right now, in real time, and this is just March, one single month.
There were more than 21,000 new zero-emission vehicle sales in Canada, a spike of more than 74% year over year.
They are in high demand. So is there a future?
In February, the federal government announced a new 5-year EV incentives program, offering rebates of up to $5,000. Automotive insiders believe it's in part a driving factor.
The surge of gas prices and the return of the federal EV incentives is helping to drive those sales.
21,000 zero-emission vehicles in 1 month. A 5-year federal rebate program handing Canadians up to $5,000 back in their pockets just for choosing clean. That's not luck. That's a government that sat down, looked at the future, and said, we're going there, and we're taking our people with us.
Another variable being cited, Canadian consumers becoming more familiar and open to the idea of going green.
We have consumers who have experience, their neighbors have experience with EVs, and they're trusting them.
New EV sales made up more than 12% of all vehicles sold in March, up from just over 6% during the same month last year. While Honda has indefinitely suspended its $15 billion electric vehicle complex in Ontario, in St. Thomas, Ontario, construction of a massive EV gigafactory battery plant is well underway, with production set for next year.
12% of every single car sold in Canada last March was electric. That number was 6% just 12 months before. It doubled in 1 year, and right there in St. Thomas, Ontario, while the noise around Honda's suspended plant is still fresh, a massive EV gigafactory battery plant is already going up, with production set to kick off next year. Canada didn't flinch. Canada didn't panic. Canada kept building. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because what you just heard about EVs, that's only one piece of a much bigger picture that Carney's government has been quietly assembling. And honestly, when I looked at the full scale of what Canada is putting together, I had to stop and just sit with it for a moment.
Carpenters, others across this great country are going to build Canada strong. And one of the things that the federal government has been focused on is the scale of what we're building and what we're going to build is going to mean that we need literally hundreds of thousands of more skilled tradespeople. And so a few weeks ago, we announced a $6 billion program to flow through the unions, to flow through the technical colleges, SAIT, for example, here in Calgary, so that we can train more apprenticeships, so that those individuals who make that decision can flow seamlessly through, that they're supported financially as they go through, so they get completion bonuses when they finish, and so they can get out directly onto the job sites.
$6 billion, not for ads, not for announcements, for actual human beings, pipe fitters, electricians, carpenters, trained, financially supported, and placed directly onto job sites. Canada looked at its green energy future and said, who's going to build it? Then they wrote a $6 billion check to answer that question. That's what a real industrial strategy looks like.
Ottawa has also opened the door for 49,000 Chinese-built electric vehicles to enter the Canadian market. Demand from budget-conscious consumers is expected to be strong.
We're also hearing about exciting hybrids in the pipeline, and the variety of consumer choices is going to be building from all over the world.
One roadblock impeding future EV growth, according to those tracking the trends, is anxiety around accessibility to functioning charging stations in communities across the country.
And then, Ottawa did something that would make Trump's head spin. They opened the door to 49,000 Chinese-built EVs, not to hurt their own industry, but to give budget-conscious Canadians real choices, hybrids coming in from across the world. Competition welcomed, options expanding. Canada just did what a confident country does. It trusts its own people to choose wisely, instead of building walls and calling it protection. The only real speed bump flagged right now? Charging station access in some communities. And you know what? Canada is talking about that too, openly, publicly, without spin. That's the difference between a government that governs and a government that just performs. So Canada is building gigafactories, training hundreds of thousands of workers, flooding its market with EV choices, and posting 74% sales growth. And meanwhile, what is America doing? I genuinely wish I had a better answer to that question. I really do. Honda just indefinitely suspended its $15 billion EV complex in Ontario. Yes, that stings for Canada too. But here's the part that nobody's really talking about. Canada absorbed that hit, kept its gigafactory in St. Thomas moving, kept its rebate program running, kept its doors open to global EV competition. What did America do when its own clean energy momentum started slowing? The administration cheered. Trump has been calling EVs garbage, not a metaphor. That's the actual energy coming from the top. Biden-era EV tax credits that were putting real money back into American families' pockets rolled back. EPA regulations that were pushing automakers toward cleaner production dismantled, piece by piece. The very policy scaffolding that American auto workers needed to transition into the next generation of manufacturing, quietly kicked away.
Yesterday, we announced an electricity strategy, the federal government going out to consult on this, working with the provinces, other stakeholders, doubling the size of our electricity grid over the course of the next couple of decades. That's hundreds, thousands of jobs that will be created just in the process of building that. Of course, many more in the businesses that use that power. And then today, with the Accord, the implementation agreement with Alberta, the Government of Canada, 50,000 jobs across a wide range of activities, doubling the grid here, building an entirely new industry in carbon capture, building a low-carbon pipeline to Asia, which makes the country more independent, more resilient, more sustainable.
Doubling the entire electricity grid. 50,000 jobs from one single agreement with Alberta. Hundreds of thousands more from just the construction process alone. Carney isn't reading from a teleprompter. He's signing implementation agreements. And here's what cuts deepest for me. American auto workers want these jobs. They are ready. They are skilled. They are hungry for this work. Trump is the one turning them away. Let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just a Canada versus America story anymore. This is a global race, and the starting gun already fired. China isn't waiting. Europe isn't waiting. The EV market globally is moving at a speed that makes Washington's fossil fuel nostalgia look almost embarrassing. China is already the world's dominant EV producer. European automakers are retooling entire factories, and Canada just positioned itself right at the center of that wave.
We are viewed as a reliable country in a world that's anything but. We're viewed as a country that when we sign something, we honor it. We're viewed as a country that is now on the move, a country with ambition, with confidence, moving forward, a country that intends to build big. We're viewed as a country that is both an energy superpower and believes in addressing climate change. And so the ability to combine all of that is very, very attractive to Asian partners.
Read that again. A country that when we sign something, we honor it. In a world drowning in broken promises and political noise, Canada just walked into Asia's boardrooms and said, "We are reliable. We are an energy superpower that also believes in climate." Asian partners aren't just interested, they're lining up. And America? America is the country that just slapped tariffs on its own closest ally and called it strategy.
What you had today, what we have today is an agreement between the Government of Canada and the Government of Alberta committing to net zero 2050. Both of us committing to net zero 2050. Not committing in a speech, not committing rhetorically, committing with a series of investments and commitments and market frameworks that are going to move the province, going to move the country towards low emission and to net zero. Net zero, the environment respects or is a function of emissions. It's physics. It's what actually happens. And in order to change what actually happens, you have to go out in that room.
Not a speech, not a ribbon-cutting photo op. An actual binding framework with market structures, investment commitments, and provincial agreements locked in. Carney said it straight. Net zero is physics, not politics. You either build toward it or you don't. There's no middle ground that the atmosphere will politely accept. Here's where I have to just be honest with you, and I don't say this lightly.
I've been an environmentalist, my career, UN Special Envoy on climate action. Those last two words, climate action. This is climate action. This is investment. This is moving forward.
Climate action is investment. That's the frame Canada is operating inside. Every dollar spent on clean energy is a dollar building the economy of tomorrow. Every skilled worker trained is a person whose job won't be wiped out in 15 years. That's not idealism. That's math. And it's the math that our own leadership is refusing to do.
Puts together a package that creates opportunity, creates energy security, reduces emissions, and is affordable for Albertans and Canadians. Affordable today and affordable tomorrow. So everything has to fit together, and the combination here does, which is why we're very proud to have this agreement, and we will do everything to implement it.
Affordable today and affordable tomorrow. That's the bar Canada just set for itself and cleared. Opportunity, energy security, emission reductions, and real affordability, all in one package. Not one or two of those things, all four. When was the last time you heard an American policy announcement that could honestly check all four of those boxes at once? I'm not asking that to be cruel. I'm asking because the answer genuinely worries me. Side by side, the picture is stark. Canada posted 74% EV growth while building gigafactories, training workers, slashing consumer costs, and locking in net zero commitments that Asian partners are already responding to. America rolled back EV credits, gutted EPA rules, cheered for fossil fuels, and left its own auto workers staring at a future their government refuses to prepare them for. This is not the America I was raised to believe in, the one that led every major industrial revolution of the last century. That America looked at what was coming and ran toward it. What's happening right now? That's something different, and I still believe we can course correct. I genuinely do. But you cannot fix what you refuse to even look at. 3 things to take away from today. 1. Canada's EV market didn't just grow, it doubled its market share in 12 months and is backed by factories, workers, and real federal investment. 2. The global clean energy race is not slowing down for anyone, and the countries sitting it out are not going to get a second chance to catch up. 3. Policy is not abstract. Policy is the reason 21,000 Canadian families drove home in a new electric vehicle last March, while American workers are still waiting for a plan. Canada is winning this round. The question sitting on the table right now, the one I want you to actually think about, is this. How many more rounds does America need to lose before we demand something better? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. If this video made you think differently about anything, like it, share it, and subscribe, because we are just getting started.